racing straight ahead. No man can do like I can. I'm the queen of the land. Haters gonna hate. Won't be sorry now. Shoot me down, but I'll rise again. I'm laying down the law and you've been served. For my 1 billion, my billion, been holding up half the sky. Raise your hand if you're ready and willing. If you know it's time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Time for a girl on time. Whether you're ready or not. Time for a girl on time. Whether you're ready or not. Time for a girl on time. Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.
What a privilege for us to bring TNT back into NASCAR. It's such a nostalgic brand for me to be in NASCAR. I can think back to the TNT Summer Series. It was the doldrums of summer, and then here came TNT to really spice things up. New faces, new voices out there. Great NASCAR racing. It's really cool to be here, be part of this.
Yeah, let's not forget $1 million on the line.
Oh, and $1 million bucks on the line. I'd like that. Do we get anything from that?
Yeah. I mean, maybe we can ask very nicely.
Oh, that'd be cool. Also, by the way, I think you were correct. It's about 1,000 degrees here today in Atlanta. Hot Atlanta is living up to it, but we're going to bring some hot racing hopefully here tomorrow.
Yeah, you know who's not warm right now? It's the guys that are up in the booth looking probably pretty cool right there.
Yeah, they got to have a nice place.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's bring in Adam Alexander, Dale Jr., and Steve Letard. As I mentioned, a little bit of a lightning delay. So you guys are going to do a little work right now while we get ready for qualifying.
It is cozy and comfortable
Thank
in the
you.
booth. We welcome you in, and we're not going to lie. We feel very nice up here as we get ready for qualifying about 30 minutes from now. I want to talk about this racetrack. You've been selling this place for quite some time. Drafting at 1.5 miles, it really is electric here.
Yeah, since the reconfiguration, this has become the best ticket as a fan, as a viewer. As a broadcaster, it's been the most exciting racing that I've ever witnessed and had the chance to call. So there is, as soon as they drop the green flag, it's 2-3 wide racing. Like the drivers said, everything happens here in fast forward. Your brain's got to be a supercomputer to process everything you're seeing and everything that you want to be doing and the choices that you need to make to put yourself in position to win. So it's absolutely a brand new style of racing that we have never had in this sport, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Recalibrate, that's the word I use, whether it's us looking out the window, calling this race, the fans sitting in the stands, and for sure the drivers behind the wheel. You have to recalibrate because normally when we do drafting style races, it's on these big spread out racetracks of Daytona and Talladega. So rush hour seems impressive, but now take rush hour off the interstate and put it on your surface street running through your neighborhood. That's basically what this racetrack has become. You kind of have to recalibrate and be really on your game. It happens in a hurry.
And think about how wild the schedule has been this summer. So many boxes being checked. A couple weeks ago, we're Mexico City on the road course, and last week at Pocono, one of the most unique venues that we visit. The man who solved the riddle there, Chase Briscoe. Let's hear from him. Here's Marty Snyder.
Yeah, Adam, a week ago, we saw another driver lock themselves into the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. That'd be Chase Briscoe. First ever win for you at Joe Gibbs Racing. Did you get much time this week to kind of enjoy it and look back on the win from last week?
Yeah, I would say it definitely sunk in a little bit more throughout the course of the week, but it was kind of business as usual, right? We still did our sim time and everything else. You know, JGR, they do all their competition stuff on Mondays too, so it was kind of right. This one will be a little bit different, but yeah, it was great to lock our team into the playoffs. The kind of the course of the stretch of the schedule that's coming up. There's a lot of wild card racetracks, so for us to lock in, there's kind of no better time.
I kind of found your post-race comments very interesting when you said this is the least enjoyable Cup Series win of your career. Why is that, Chase?
I mean, it was still enjoyable. It was just
yeah.
It was different. Some of that might have been just it was the third one. The first one obviously is special for certain reasons, and then the second one being a crown jewel and just the circumstances that it was. But I think a lot of it just comes down to the environment I'm in now is so different than what I had at Stewart-Haas, where here my teammates are winning, you're expected to go win. Where at Stewart-Haas, you almost felt like you shocked the world when you won. And here it's just kind of just a normal Sunday, truthfully. I mean, just with how upfront we are as often and how much JGR wins. So yeah, it was definitely a different feeling, but it was definitely still enjoyable. It was just a different range of emotions than I would say what happened after the first two.
Hard to say when you lock in the playoffs. It's not enjoyable. Chase Briscoe will be a part of the 2025 Cup Series playoffs, Mamba Smith.
Thanks, Marty. I'm standing by with a guy. You've seen him in a suit a lot this year. This is a little different suit. Corey LaJoie back in the Cup Series. Corey, you had some success here in the past. Looking forward to it this week?
Oh, man, we've been so close here. But, yeah, this suit is a better suit. This is the best seat in the house. I've had the second best seat in the house at Prime the last 5 weeks, so it was a blast to work with all those guys. All the guys in the booth, tip of the hat to you guys. Miss working with you guys. But here I am, strapping it in the car with some of the best in the world. It's going to be really fun this weekend. Like you said, man, we have been damn close this one. That's why I wanted to get the old Schluter Systems Ford Mustang out here, see if we can do it again.
All right, Shu, before I let you go, I know you got to qualify. I'm a rookie with these guys. What can you tell me about working with Dale, Steve, and Adam? I'm a little nervous.
Get the liver ready because the post-race meetings, they take quite a lot of beers. But nonetheless, those guys are pros. Just ask them anything you need. Those guys will steer you in the right direction. Just have fun because you have a lot of respect in the garage. We respect you. We want to tell all the fans how much we love this sport, and I'm excited for TNT to do the same thing we've been doing for the last 5 weeks.
Appreciate you, Corey. Alan Cavana.
And I'm with Tyler Reddick. He's about to make his 200th Cup start. He's about to go out and try to qualify here. But before that, you had to be your job as a dad. You were just negotiating whether son Bo could have cookies or not. Who won that battle?
Yeah, I know. All he wants to do is go to McDonald's, but I got to go out here and lay a lap down. So, yeah, just trying to give him something that's going to hold him over. I don't know what he's even got now. Oh, he got crackers finally. I finally talked him into crackers.
Cookies a little healthier than crackers.
Oh, it's a little better. We got crackers, so
Dad.
positive progress over here.
Good dad, good dad. Hey, look, not only that, $1 million on the line these next few races. Your first matchup is against Kyle Larson. Are you thinking about that already before we even get out here?
Well, me and Kyle have a hard time finishing at road courses, so it's going to be a heck of a battle to see who finishes the race.
I can't wait to see who wins this battle. Cookies, gum, want to say anything?
You got anything?
No.
Oh, Shannon knows all about this, battling with kids about cookies, crackers, just trying to keep them on the straight
Alan, we got to
narrow.
see if he can blow a bubble. Can he blow a bubble?
Hey, Bo, can you blow a bubble?
What?
Can you blow a bubble?
Oh, hell.
That's kind of how my kids react to me too, by the way.
We're going to get back to the practice. He'll go try to put a lap down. He'll try to blow a bubble. We'll get back to you on the progress.
You need like a full-size sugar bubble gum in order
Yeah,
to
we
blow
need
your
to
bubble.
see what the kind of talent there's there with that. That's a good one for you. I like
All
that.
right, we'll try it later. Maybe we'll get Parker to. Maybe you can blow.
I don't have
some
any
bubbles.
gum.
No, maybe a little bit later. All right, we're
It would
gonna
just
get
melt immediately, by the way.
We're going to be back in just a few minutes. We're about 20 minutes from qualifying here in Atlanta. We'll be right back here on.
10 times faster, that would be 1,800 miles per hour. I've said it feels like 1,000 before. That means chaos, craziness. All these brackets could be blown up. You got the Briscoe, Gregson. I mean, this one's tough.
Maybe 2 of the top 10 guys and teams when it comes to super speedway racing. So when the brackets came out, were you like, oh man, come on, are you kidding me?
Well, I thought it was going to be a challenging week for sure. You know, when we go into this style of racing, I feel really confident about our car, but obviously William's really fast at it too, so it's not going to be very easy. But, you know, we're racing in Danny Solomon's memory this weekend, and we'd really like to win it for him, so I'm sure he's going to be riding with me, and we're going to try and pull the upset on that one.
When we talk about the bracket challenge, obviously there's $1 million on the line, but how much are you really paying attention to it? Are you kind of saying, hey, let me get through the chaos of Atlanta, and then I'll focus on it?
To be honest with you, I just approach every weekend like it's any other weekend of trying to win, and if you win, that usually takes care of it. So obviously I know I'm racing against William this weekend because that's pretty much every question I've been asked, but it's kind of like David versus Goliath in a way, so we're going to try and see if we can win this one.
All right, they're kind of talking themselves into that, Danielle. Try to just say, hey, it's David versus Goliath, but they feel like they can beat that 24 car.
All right, Marty, thanks so much. I'm here with our defending Cup Series champ, Joey Logano. He is seated 25th in the bracket challenge, going up against Alex Bowman. Joey, I heard you earlier in the week say in an interview that you could make strategy calls perhaps as we get deeper into this bracket challenge, depending on the matchup.
I mean, I think it can get to that point. I don't know if it happens in the first round or two. But shoot, yeah, I mean, if it gets down to the end and you're racing for $1 million, you're probably going to cross your mind that, like, it's not just about getting, you know, stage points that day. It might be about getting the best finishing possibility, or, you know, or even possibly, like, choose situations, you know, what lane you're going to be in when you're racing against a specific car. I mean, should we line up at the All-Star race for $1 million, right? We could do a whole weekend for that. So I think when there's that much on the line, yeah, you got to obviously think about that.
Thinking about $1 million tomorrow night, thinking about getting a win here, something you've done already twice, Joey. And I've heard that teams are bringing more downforce here to Atlanta than they ever have before. I talked to one Ford crew chief. He said, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of the Fords qualify in the 20s because we want to make sure we're good for tomorrow night. Would you agree with that?
Depends on window, if you can get the balance right. The downforce just kind of makes it a little easier, but obviously it comes with the price. You know, if you bring the downforce, 9 times out of 10 it's going to come with some drag, and it's going to slow your car down, and that's why you bring up qualifying. But you know, that drag also shows up in the race too, so it's a hard decision. It's a bit of a compromise, and yeah, it's hot, and the race will be different than what it was in the spring, no doubt, because of that.
Wish you the best of luck here. I know you're about to cut a fast lap. Joey Logano started in the Cup Series, guys, at 18 years old. Alan Cavana is standing by with another 18-year-old young phenom in Cup.
Yeah, from the veteran to the rookie, Connor Zilic will make his 3rd Cup Series start this weekend. You've done a short track, intermediate. This is the drafting style. How do you go into an unknown like this? You got to go out and qualify, and second car out there. How do you prepare for the unknown?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do. I ran a couple laps in the simulator, but yeah, you don't really know what you got till you roll out on the track, and yeah, it's kind of scary going down off into 3, and you got to run right up next to the wall, wide open, in a car you've never driven before, but that's the fun part of it. So looking forward to it. So excited to have Red Bull back on the car. So cool to be back in a Cup car again. It's my 3rd race, and you know, I take every opportunity I can for granted to run one of these cars. So looking forward to it, and hoping I can see the checkered flag on Saturday.
You can't win the $1 million, but your teammates can. How do you be a good teammate on Saturday night?
Yeah, obviously Daniel still needs a win to get into the playoffs, so doing what I can to help him, and you know, try and get the Trackhouse organization, all 3 cars locked in the playoffs will be awesome, and you know, also helping all the teammates I can. I'm just an extra body a little bit this weekend, but you know, I'm going to be learning as much as I can out there to, you know, help me get prepared for, you know, whatever down the road. You know, these drafting tracks are tough, and you know, the more experience I can get, the better. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I can learn a thing or two for even my Xfinity races later this season.
One day, maybe not this weekend, but one day he'll be going for that $1 million. All the experience counts, Shannon.
Oh, I'm sure he will. I need to go get those sunglasses right now. We need
Very
to get
cool.
Connor
Very cool.
Illich
Just
this.
be Connor Illich in general.
Yeah, take a look at this. This is the other part of the bracket. Let's zone in on some of these guys. Michael McDowell, I just told you how good he is qualifying on this type of racetrack. Gibbs and Haley, I mean, what do you make of this?
Well, I look at McDowell versus Allmendinger. They both are road course guys. They want to get here. He's great at road courses. I think it's his to take and get all the way to the third round.
I want to know what the guys up in the booth have to say about this in-season challenge, because I know Dale and Steve, you guys probably put your brackets together. I'm sure you guys compared them, so you guys take it away and let us know.
They were
what is
making
this?
fun of my bracket,
They
by
did?
the way. Yeah, a little bit. It hurt
What?
my feelings.
Why did they make fun of it?
They don't like my pick,
What
but I'll let them take it.
I would. You know what? I'm gonna lean on Dale and Steve on this one. I'm sorry, Parker.
Don't like his pick. I don't like his pick in the single matchup he just called with Smith and Cindric, so I sure don't like his whole bracket.
Yeah. You know, we were doing a little handicapping together yesterday evening, and we didn't know who had who when it comes to winning this whole thing. And you surprised us, and it's fitting that we had the bracket up that we just had, that quadrant, because your guy was right there, the one that you think is going to take home the $1 million.
First thing I want to do is talk about Joey Logano debating whether he would do a strategy call to win $1 million. There's a driver incentive program that they're paying those guys to go around and promote the sport that pays $1 million. Nobody has worked harder at winning that $1 million than Joe Logano. Yes, he will make some calls of his own.
Well, what did I say? I leaned in though. I'm like, if you want me to call the right race, what's my cut?
Well,
if I'm Paul Wolf, what's my deal, Joey? You know, how are we splitting this $1 million up?
They're going to have that worked out. But my favorite heads up match this weekend and every weekend is the one that Chris Buescher's in, because that's who I have winning it all the way. And so I don't want my bracket to get busted. He's got to go up against Gilliland this weekend. I think he can do it.
Man, I have your guy going out in round 1. I
don't know what you're thinking.
Who's your champion, Steve? How far are you taking it out there?
Well, I learned that you and I saw the same thing. I'm going with Mr. Consistent. He hasn't won this year, but he hasn't finished outside the top 20. I have Chase Elliott start to finish.
I see a path there for the 9.
Absolutely.
I'm with you.
It's like 3 lanes wide and clear.
Yeah, we'll find out in a few weeks in Indianapolis. Here's Marty.
You know, Adam, I think a lot of drivers look at the schedule for this in-season challenge and go, man, those are hard racetracks. I think Michael McDowell looks at the schedule and says, bring it on. That's perfect. A super speedway, back-to-back road courses. So when you look at this in-season challenge and you look at the 5 tracks, do you indeed say, hey, those are right up my alley?
Yeah, I look at it as we can win $1 million and knock a lot of favorites out of the bracket. You know, just fortunate that I lined up the way that it did. I mean, we got to get through Atlanta here this weekend. That's a big deal. And obviously I'm going head-to-head with AJ, and AJ's very good here, right? And so his strengths are my strengths, the same tracks. So if I can knock him out tomorrow night, that's going to help a lot of other people too, you know, moving down. But I feel like we'll surprise a lot of people. We've had a lot of speed at the road courses and at super speedways, and but we're also focusing on making the playoffs and winning a race, and which accomplishes everything, right? And so we got great opportunities these next 5 weeks, and we know that, and we just got to make the most of every opportunity.
You have shown a willingness to drive a very trimmed out race car here on the ragged edge of handling versus speed. How will you guys approach it this weekend when it's so hot, but even though it's a night race?
Maybe a little bit more handling than we've had here the last few years. Man, we've had a ton of speed, but you know, in the draft when it's hot like that and you're 2 and 3 wide, you got to be able to move around. You got to be confident in pulling down a lane, moving up a lane. So maybe not quite as trimmed out as that, but you know, when the sun goes down tomorrow night, you get down to the end, you're going to want it to be fast. So there's a balance there. Hopefully we've hit that balance. But you know, feel great about, you know, where we ran here in the spring, and Carson had a shot at winning the race, and so it went off a lot of their notes, and we'll see what we got.
All right, Michael McDowell will be one of the first few cars to roll off here in qualifying in Atlanta.
Well, my guy will be rolling off a little bit later on the grid. Kyle Rowdy Busch. Kyle, you can win anywhere. We've seen how close it's been on this format, but now we got $1 million on the line. What about it?
That would be a great payday, you know. Have a little bonus money in the year. That's always good. Nothing to balk about there. So hopefully our Scenic Chevrolet here this weekend will be fast enough to get up towards the front, mix it up a little bit, and not be the 2 inches short that I was the last time here.
You have a pretty good path when you look at this time of the year. You guys have been pretty good on the road courses, not having the luck with the finishes, but with the speed. So you got to look forward to this playoff push.
Yeah, a little bit, you know, talking about Chicago, talk about Sonoma, sure. You know, we've been good at Dover. We ran great there last year. So, you know, feel like there's some pretty cool places coming up. You know, Chicago, though, like a couple years ago, we had that sunset delay, the time delay thing with darkness setting in. So anything can happen, you know, that kind of threw the strategy off for a lot of the front runners in that race, but we were able to capitalize on it and had a good day for us. So, you know, there's a lot of different things that could certainly happen, and with competition so tight and pit road so tight and everything, you know, it's going to be all about track position.
All right, Kyle, well, good luck, my man. Shannon.
I got to work on that handshake with Mamba this season. I got to get my own special
He and I came up
handshake
with one
as well.
yesterday.
You got one?
Yeah, I got one now.
I'm jealous. Future.
Yeah, Shannon explained a little lightning delay. It actually canceled the second round of Xfinity qualifying. You'll see that later tonight, their race. And for the Cup Series, because of the shortened window, one shot, one lap, one shot. Where you qualify is where you will start tomorrow night. Remember, no practice, Dale. So, you know, I know it should be a relatively easy wide open, but a lot of things in NASCAR should be until they're not. And if I've made this car too trimmed out, too down on the stops, too hard to drive, you're unfortunately going to find out here in your one and only lap.
Yeah, there's been a couple times in qualifying at Atlanta where 2 or 3 cars just have such bad balance that they're not actually able to run wide open. And you would think that the cars would be actually, easier to drive by themselves on the racetrack, but the way they do trim them out, get themselves in trouble. We'll watch David Starr in the 66 pull off pit road, making his first start of 2025. Former Truck Series drivers mixed it up over the last decade or more with Xfinity starts and occasional Cup start.
Talk about a journeyman.
Yeah.
And you saw the headshot there and that smile. That's actually tamed down from what you get in person. I mean, you see David in the garage, and it is always wide. He just a happy guy from Texas, been around a long time. 40 cars here, so everybody going to make the show.
This is where the practice is the most difficult for teams like this car alone program. The car bottoming out a little bit. They're going to try to guesstimate where this car is going to land in travels, all types of things, and tell David to hang on.
That's right.
Go out there and run the lap.
That's my pep talk.
Yeah. You can see the car kind of moving around. He's a little bit uncomfortable. A lot of movement in the steering wheels. He's going around that racetrack there.
All right.
34-11.
Ain't no neutral. Come on around.
34-11 for Starr.
Next up on the racetrack, 87 of Connor Zillich, fresh off that win in Pocono in the Xfinity Series. Driving for Trackhouse crew chief Darian Grubb. You know Darian really well, Steve. Perfect guy to have on this pit box for this young driver.
Yeah, Darian's worked with some of the biggest names, probably most famously known for that championship run with Tony Stewart. So when you talk about young drivers getting experience, I think at some point in your career you want to be matched up with, say, a crew chief that maybe you'll work with for a long point in your career. But when you're only talking start 3 or 4, you just want to have somebody who can be nice and calm on the radio, kind of like you did last week. You got him to a win last Saturday, man. What are you talking about?
We had a lot of fun. As a pretty good lap comparable to David Starr. We'll see how it stacks up. Down to Danielle.
Yeah, Dell, a familiar face here in the Cup Series, Chris Buescher, but a whole new look. You got the sunglasses, the cool hat, hopefully a fast race car too. Chris, what's the key to getting around this place and sitting on the pole?
Probably getting your lift point right into one. No, I'm just kidding. We'll be wide open around here today, right? Pretty confident in our group. We've worked hard at this racetrack through the years, and RFK has been really strong in these super speedways. So we'll take this Kroger Cinnamon Toast Crunch forward and way best lap down we know how. Obviously, we're a little bit late here starting, so just one lap today, one round. I think it's a pretty easy day. It's that balance of speed versus balance and drivability.
He knows what he's doing here, Double A. He's also a 3 seed for the in-bracket challenge in this first round, going up against Todd Gilliland.
Yeah, and I mean, the Fords have been outstanding here when it comes to qualifying. You see it out of Corey LaJoie, 31-35 for him. Is B.J. McLeod hits the track in the 78.
I appreciated the dad joke. That's from Chris Buescher there. Some good humor.
Was that like a racing dad joke?
That was a racing
I
dad
really
joke.
got a chuckle out of it. That's my guy, man. He's going to win it all.
I saw that Cinnamon Toast Crunch hat.
It's
I got a little
good.
distracted.
That
stuff is so
I
good.
was just looking
Apparently
for a gallon of milk.
Apparently that's been like the best-selling T-shirt for RFK since their existence.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
The
Cinnamon Toast Crunch T-shirt.
I like it. For a little reference, you see LaJoie fastest at that 31-35. About a 30-90 track record plus the pole speed. I can make an argument that with the warmer air, the cars are a little draggier, maybe making less power. We'll just have to see where it goes, Marty, and what kind of speed we're going to see.
Well, Steve, last Sunday before the Pocono race, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. called a shot, said we're going to go to Atlanta and win. The resume would back up that statement, but still that much confidence this week, Ricky?
Yeah, our Hungry Jack Camaro, I feel like, is going to drive exactly the way I need it to. So, the boys here at Hayek give me really good cars on speedways, and especially here at Atlanta, it handles really well where, handling is a premium, especially with the heat the way it is. It'll be slick. So I feel like we'll have a car capable of handling good enough to run up front and do everything that we need to do. Qualifying might be a different story here. My guys cringe when we come, to qualify. And it's not for lack of effort, man. We've qualified so many different packages on these speedways. Can't seem to figure it out, but you know, it's just a starting spot. If we qualify in the back, I'll be able to save fuel a little earlier than most, and then drive our way to the front.
Alan, one cool thing about the Atlanta Motor Speedway is that there is a 2-stage pit road speed, so Stenhouse is going to practice that on his way in after his qualifying lap.
That's good for every driver to practice, including Noah Gregson. Top 10 here back in the spring, but now you get 1 lap to just send it without any practice laps. What's that like for a driver?
I just told it wide open. It's pretty easy around here with all the banking and whatnot. The real challenge about this place is tomorrow during the race and being in the pack and you know, you're 3 wide, 4 wide at times, and the air difference when you're in the pack compared to what we're doing today is quite a bit different. So it'll be, this will be easy. You just hold it wide open, but tomorrow you're holding on that thing for dear life and trying to get the front tires in the racetrack and just trying to position your car to get as much air on as possible tomorrow. So today will be easy, tomorrow's the hard part.
All right, Noah Gregson's matched up against last week's winner, Chase Briscoe, for to start that $1 million tournament, Mamba Smith.
I got John Hunter Nemechek here. John Hunter, you got back-to-back top 6 finishes. A lot of momentum rolling in. Now, you're an underdog in the challenge, but brother, you got some momentum on your side.
Yeah, we definitely do. We're seated pretty good. I think we're seated 12th or something. This week with Josh Berry is going to be a heck of a matchup. Their manufacturer has been pretty good here at Atlanta here in the past, but looking forward to showing off this new Pi Barker scheme. It's really cool to be able to honor and have all 8,000 of their team members' names on our car riding with us here in their hometown. So excited to see what we can do tomorrow night. Hopefully we can continue our top 6 streak and hopefully go out there and try and get a win. But overall, it's been a really good few weeks, and just got to go beat Josh and go have a chance for $1 million.
John Hunter Nemechek trying to ride the momentum, Adam.
And he's got an Xfinity win here at Atlanta in the draft configuration, so he knows his way to victory lane. Ty Dillon jumped to the top after Riley Herbst was there. They're the top duo with Shane Van Gisbergen out making his qualifying run in the 88.
A little bit up the racetrack right there in the middle of the corner. And Noah Gregson said it was going to be easy today, but you can see some of the cars not quite as predictable as they may want.
I cringed. I felt like that could be like, you could jinx yourself.
Yeah.
Like you think it's going to be easy, and then you go down in there and that thing drive bad or hit the ground.
Oh,
like
Michael
that.
Down the
See?
fence. Yeah. Goodness gracious. And I was out there earlier in the pace car, and that part of the racetrack's really, really dirty. Right around the top of turn 3 and 4. For whatever reason, there's a lot of pine trees really in close proximity to the racetrack, and there's a lot of debris and pine needles actually laying all over the racetrack right up in turn 3 and 4. A little dusty up there, so
that thing's really dancing. Look at that.
And we discussed earlier on the show about how they love to trim out the 71. They love to take away all the downforce and all the comfort and just sit him out there and go for it. But they're going to have to tighten that thing a little bit, get that thing a little more comfortable for Michael.
Out of control.
Yeah, out of control is right.
Steve, he said something's broke in the car. That's what he's saying. No, it was way out of control.
Wow, you see the front hopping, and it just dances the car up into the wall, and so now the crew is going to have to diagnose whether they think something is really amiss or they just missed their adjustments completely. You can change the heights of these cars. You can change many things after qualifying. Not parts and pieces, but more settings.
I'm just glad to see Bubba Wallace making a qualifying run. So good last week in practice at Pocono. Had the issue with the starter, couldn't go out and make a run. Eventually had the issues during the race and doesn't get the finish that you felt like he had an opportunity to get at a track that's been really good to him. And now comes in with a very small advantage over the cut line. Bubba Wallace is third behind his teammate Riley Herbst. Everybody chasing Ty Dillon. It's early in qualifying here at Echo Park Speedway. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming up. You got Ross Chastain.
But to your point, he looks at these races as their opportunity to go get wins. No question. They put a lot more emphasis probably on Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta than most teams, knowing that that's their chance. And in the last 3 or 4 weeks, man, he's had a bit of a tough go. Went into Nashville above the cut line, had problems with Hocevar. Ever since then, they've really struggled to get the results. He's out of being able to point his way into the playoffs. The must-win situation is definitely what they want to try to make happen this weekend.
Yeah, he really tries to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, which is this style of racing, and then force his competitors to be even more uncomfortable, right? Just push the issue, be aggressive.
He embraces it. He's confident. He's good at it. Qualifying run puts Stenhouse 8th, Alan.
And I'm with Ross Chastain. We could really use some ice cream down here. Luckily, I found the guy with Frosty on the side of his car. You got a machine back at the hauler at Neil?
I don't, Alan, but man, I just got to say, congratulations, man. It's great to see you out here on pit road. So cool to see the hard work pay off. And yes, we could definitely use a Wendy's Frosty machine right now. It's a great time to be in Georgia, and for Georgia, it's Georgia watermelon season, man. That's where all of the watermelons are coming from for the whole East Coast.
All right, in the spring, you went from 33rd to 8th. What's that tell me about qualifying, how important it is here?
It means we got 400 miles to pass a lot of cars, and I think we'll be back there again. Trackhouse was just definitely not performed in qualifying here at Echo Park Speedway, but we got 400 miles later tomorrow night, and we'll be able to snack on some Georgia watermelon tomorrow ahead of the race. Be ready.
All right, going fast, staying cool. Ross Chastain's ready for it, Mamba Smith.
Hometown race for Chase Elliott. Chase, you've got it done here on this configuration before. It's always good to be back at home, right?
Yeah, it's definitely nice. I love that we have 2 races here now, so it's been a lot of fun. I am excited about it, and I don't know, I feel like it's Christmas. We got 2 races in Atlanta, and one of them's a night race. Man, I don't know, that seems too good to be true, so it's good times to be around.
Good times to be Chase Elliott, Adam.
No question. And this team riding a wave of momentum as we talk about what they've done recently, and no question he'll be a player here tomorrow night. Todd Gilliland made his qualifying run. He is 2nd. Here's his teammate Noah Gregson, a little bounce through the corner.
Noah on a 60-race streak of no pit road penalties speeding.
That was a kiss of death right there.
I just couldn't believe that stat when I read it.
No doubt.
Well, we get so many
60 races. Does he even try?
Wait. So you're saying not congratulations, you haven't been caught. Yeah. You're more like, man, you got to get closer.
He's got to get more aggressive. Come on, man.
Well, there are a lot of speeding penalties here because the pit road layout is quite unique. And I encourage Noah to be very careful based on what Dale just said. Noah is 6th. Here's his 4th teammate, Cole Custer, who was really good in qualifying last week at Pocono and 2 weeks ago at his best run of the year in Mexico City.
Yeah, they've stepped it up. I'm kind of surprised, too, because I really didn't think this team was going to do anything but struggle all year long. Cole's just really kind of a guy that's going to battle, showing a lot of fortitude and character to be able to continue to try to raise this team up.
Great lap, 31.15.
31.55, P1.
Into the top.
Oh, you can hear the excitement on the radio.
40 cars here, 14 have taken time, and we just got a report.
Mean delay, seek shelter.
Lightning in the area. We saw this as Steve talked about. Shannon mentioned it at the end of Xfinity Series qualifying, so they went 1 round, canceled round 2. We had abbreviated this Cup qualifying session to 1 round, just going to give everybody 1 shot at it. No second round of qualifying here because of the delay due to lightning and the impact it had on the garage and all the preparation that goes in. You know, it's a great day here, but anytime you have lightning around and in the interest of safety and all the competitors and fans and so on, you want to make sure you heed caution. That's what we do here, and so we hit the pause button with Cole Custer at the top.
This will be interesting to see what opportunity there is. Hopefully we'll be able to finish this qualifying, and then with the delay, you know, I know the sun will still be up, but as the sun sets, as we look down in 1 and 2, you see the billboard, the shadow of the billboards coming across the racetrack. That will make just a small bit of difference as far as just kind of rolling resistance and how much front steering wheel you have to put in the car. So this could change track conditions if we're fortunate enough to get going again here.
Yeah, the drivers, if their cars are driving well, it should be a very simple process, but you can make a difference trying to launch off pit road You definitely don't want to put the tire on any painted surface trying to accelerate off a pit road. So some of the things you just got to keep in mind.
And, well, I'm sorry. I was just saying, and if we don't get going again, then these 14 laps aren't going to matter.
That's right. We'll just use the rule book, set the field from there, and go on.
Denny Hamlin. Christmas comes early for Denny. Isn't that what Chase said? Well, it'd be Christmas comes early for Denny Hamlin because he'll be the pole sitter.
He's on a summer heater, right? I mean, top 3 finishes in his
super hot and miserable outside, and there are some, as you see, some storms that develop. But yeah, I don't know.
This is frustrating, though.
I don't believe that we had a lightning strike.
Well,
looking out there, and I don't see nothing. I mean, maybe 30 miles away. I don't know, but
they told us it was within.
I think this equipment they're using to determine this is way too sensitive.
This has got to be the first time I've been in a NASCAR booth and I've debated science. I mean, I've talked about 2 tires versus 4. I've talked about can he make it on fuel. Yeah. Never have I doubted.
Download a different app. Download a different app. Oh.
All right, wait, let's rewind, okay? Because we talk about the Xfinity Series tonight. Connor Zilic doing double duty this weekend.
We put the gas in it, put the tires on it, but he's the guy who was able to drive it to the front and jumped out of the roof hatch just because. I've said publicly, and I'll say it here, if you come out of the roof hatch, I feel that's a little suspect. There may be some shenanigans and some cheating going on around that roof hatch.
And then you did it in your own car?
Well, Justin Allgaier told him if you win, you got to go out the roof hatch because of what Dale said. So they're messing with me. But, no, I was real proud. Thankful to have been asked to do that. And man, really, I got to, obviously, I didn't get to pull all of the crew chief levers, right? But I did get to experience the pressure, at least a little bit of what Steve and all those guys down there are dealing with all the time. And I know why you loved it. because it is as exciting and as nerve-wracking as driving the race car. And man, to have to make some of the tough decisions that you had to make week in and week out, know that everybody's going to look at you whether it went right or wrong. I really got to live a little bit of that, and that was fun.
You know, we talk about the success that you guys have enjoyed on the Xfinity side. A driver that did a great job for you a few years ago, laid the foundation for his career, William Byron, a Cup superstar now, Danielle.
Yeah, Double A, we're just talking. Byron was about 8 cars away from making a lap here. When the lightning hold was lifted, would you rather make a lap here today, William, or go by the metric?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, my metric wasn't too good from last week, so I think we'd be like 22nd or something like that. So, yeah, probably need the qualifying session, but honestly, on speedways, we don't typically qualify great, at least in the Atlanta configuration, so expecting probably mid-teens at best, so we'll see.
Back-to-back Daytona 500 champion. It's hard for me to believe you only have 1 win on the season, William, because you've been so good every single week. Is that frustrating, even though you won the biggest race of the entire schedule?
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess I'm getting my payback for how that one happened at the end. But yeah, I mean, we've been really strong this year. I feel like we've been stronger than we've ever been. Like, we've led more laps than ever, to this point. And last week was a bummer. Just obviously me making a mistake in qualifying, and then the guys having to fix the car. And I felt like we got it pretty good, but probably not quite as strong as what Saturday was. But overall, just we gotta keep it rolling. If we just keep showing up and running the top 3 or 4 every week, we're gonna eventually get some wins.
You're one of only 2 drivers that has multiple wins on this newly configured Atlanta Motor Speedway. So you're going up against Ryan Preece in this in-season bracket challenge in the first round. Because you're so good here, are you pretty confident going in you'll advance?
I don't know. I mean, Preece, the RFK cars have been really good here. Brad and Buscher have always been really strong here, and I think it's probably one of Brad's best tracks. So I don't know. I mean, those guys are going to be strong. It's just, I mean, as much as we all said, hey, we're not going to pay attention to it, I do feel like I've kind of, it's almost like my pit stall. I've memorized who I'm going against, so I'm like, okay, when he gets down to the end of this thing, like, I'll probably be thinking a little bit about it. But hopefully we're just racing for the win, which would be ideal, and that'll take care of itself.
Any smack talk with you and Preece?
No, I mean, not so far. No, I mean, it's probably just one of those things, like I said, where you get down to the end of the race, you're like, okay, I know who this guy I'm racing against is. So it's cool. I think it'll, anytime $1 million is on the line, we're all going to race for that. So it'll be fun.
What kind of race do you think we'll see tomorrow night, William? Our first Saturday night race of the season.
I love it. I mean, I love we're racing on a Saturday night in the summer. I feel like that's what I grew up doing at short tracks, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a really hype atmosphere. I feel like everyone, I feel like Atlanta's gotten a really good crowd these last few races with this layout. Us drivers, like, at first didn't really love it, and there's still that unpredictability. But coming here this week, I was telling myself it's gonna be like one of those old Daytona races on the old pavement where it could get strung out. Handling is definitely going to matter, so hopefully we've been good at that, so hopefully we can kind of be one of the guys that strings it out towards the front.
7 races on this newly reconfigured Atlanta, Adam, and Williams won 2 of those.
Yeah, and he references kind of the throwback to Daytona, and I would say in some ways this weekend reminds me of the old days, July 4th weekend, Saturday night at Daytona International Speedway. What do you see in the 24 team right now? Danielle referenced the 1 win coming to the 500.
I think they just need to close a race out. So they win the 500, and then they are the car to beat at the 600, dominate, leading like 80 or 90% of the laps, and it gets taken away by an amazing Ross Chastain at the end. They didn't really do anything wrong. They just got beat. Darlington, I think they kind of fumbled the pit strategy a little bit. So those are 2 races that they were the lead guy. They were the car to beat, and they couldn't close. They're going to have a ton of races and win a bunch of races. But for me, for William Byron and his crew chief, Rudy Fugle, they need to kind of shut the book on one, right? They need to show up, dominate, and close it out all the way to the finish, and then you can kind of shake the near misses off.
I like his chances here. I know he's won here before. It was a rain-shortened finish, but, as it gets cooler at night, the grip goes up in the surface. The advantage that the Fords seem to have in qualifying and early in the races, winning the stages, that kind of goes away. And if a guy like William Byron is still hanging around late in the race, I expect him to see up front battling for the win.
I'll add that he comes from what I consider the toughest bracket area, that upper right, that Briscoe. It's Briscoe, Byron, Blaney, Larson, and Reddick, all in the same region. Yet I still have them going all the way to the final, so I'm going to need a little more pizzazz out of Byron, a little more swagger. Tell him to shoot that text off the priest. Start talking a little bit of junk.
That's his style, to downplay.
He's
not going to be a guy that's going to brag about their opportunity or their speed. But he's got the confidence in there, but you're not going to see it on camera today.
A for effort from Danielle, trying to stoke the flames.
I like it.
A little rivalry between those two. But Priest and Byron, they're not trash talkers. Let's face it. Maybe this new setup will develop some of that. So we have paused things for qualifying because we had some lightning in the area. 14 cars have been on track, and the best they have got the place looking outstanding. The new paint and signage, it looks awesome.
Yeah, they've done a really good job, and we see it not only just right here on the racetrack, but up in the suites, everywhere. They've totally kind of put a new coat on this place, and it looks really great. I'm really excited about this new partnership with Echo Park, and it lines up really good, Steve, with the reconfiguration, the energy around what this race is starting to become. The action that people now can expect when they buy a ticket to this race. The crowds here are growing every year. It's no, we believe it when we say that we think this is actually one of the best tickets. If I'm always asked, have been asked for decades, I'm a new fan or I have never been to a race, where should I go? I would either say, well, the Bristol Night Race or the Daytona 500. I would put this ticket in that conversation.
And it was dwindling quickly. Marcus Smith and SMI, the owners of this racetrack, this is a place we've crowned champions. This racetrack has so much history in the sport that it was sad when we would come here. And the drivers loved to race on the surface, and in the garage, people talked about how great it was, but it failed the eye test. Yeah. Man, the people weren't coming. Tickets weren't being sold. This reconfiguration, this reimagining, Marcus Smith taking a risk, the drivers leaning into it. right? This is something outside of the norm, and the whole industry said, yeah, we're going to pull this off. And it is so great. It's an important market. Atlanta is huge. The history is there. And now I agree with you, Dale. Out the window, on TV, it's shocking what these drivers are going to do tomorrow night.
This racetrack is about physically 40 to 45 minutes from the city. And I do know that the success and future success on the facility here can really improve or kickstart some development plans around the racetrack. And so I believe they made the right decision by reconfiguring. It made some changes, and the drivers definitely pushed back on the idea of changing this racetrack. They loved, as you said, they loved the old Atlanta and the racing in the style of racing they got to do. But now, in the last couple of races, when the drivers are getting out of the car, even guys like Kyle Larson are getting out and saying, I got to be honest, that was pretty fun.
Right.
I'm having a good time.
They don't even want to admit it.
I know, right?
Man, I was supposed to not like this.
They're like, I didn't think this was going to be, that much fun, but they really are enjoying the style of racing that we have here. And even though we do compare it to Daytona and Talladega, it ain't nothing like Daytona Talladega. It's its own thing. It's its own beast and its own challenge. And so the success of these races that we're having right now are really going to drive a lot of great development around this racetrack and really turn this place on.
I like this during the lightning delay. The last time we raced in the draft, Austin Cindric, a winner at Talladega. He's with Alan Cavana.
We're just watching others have fun. How good are you throwing a football?
I'm okay. I'm better catching one than throwing one.
Wide receiver.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. Something you do know about plenty is leading laps at these drafting tracks. That's a skill that some others don't have. Where did that skill come from? How did you learn to be so good at these type of track and this type of racing?
Well, a fast car, it covers up a lot of blemishes. We've had some really fast Ford Mustangs here, and definitely want to see how fast ours is this weekend for qualifying the Quick State 400 with a Quick State car. We want to be able to go do that. But no, it's been a fun place for our team, and fun place to kind of wrap my head around too with how different of a drafting racetrack that this is, and how much handling comes into play, and how the art of working with your teammates changes here versus other tracks. So it's been a fun place and a fun challenge.
Your win this season at Talladega, a great track, great run for you there. Can you bring the same confidence to this track that as you had that day in Talladega, celebrating that win?
Well, it's the same paint scheme, so I think that's good if you're superstitious, and I'm pretty sure it's actually the same engine if you're really superstitious. So otherwise, past success definitely doesn't equal future success, but I feel like we do a great job at calling these races and being able to try and manage them as well. So, like I said, I feel like we've brought a great piece, and hopefully I get to do a lap today to show it.
I am a little stitious, so maybe I'll choose you in my in-season tournament bracket. You're going up against Zane Smith, I believe, another Ford, a fellow Ford. You guys are fast here. What do you think about that matchup? And look, we know the checkered flag is what you want. The $1 million also has to be on your mind.
Yeah, no, I think you look at the brackets, and it's funny because I feel like with other sports you can easily, especially like in the first round, right, you can pick out like, okay, this is an easy matchup, this and that. I really don't feel like we have that. Like, I don't feel like I could look at that and go, oh yeah, this guy's easily going to move on. And I feel like our series is just so competitive, and you got a wild card race here too with the drafting track. But I wish I could sit here and talk smack about Zane, but he's a super likable guy.
Wearing those shades. Can you flip those down for us? Show what those.
Sport mode. Sport mode. Right.
Sport mode.
Well, natural sport mode. I'm so glad you picked up on that.
Awesome. You got a fast car. I think that means you got a fast car.
I think I can see it all coming.
I like that. Austin Cindric, bet on this guy.
All I can say, Alan, is thank you, because the whole time we're doing the interview, he could have guaranteed victory in every race the rest of the year, and I wouldn't have heard it, because all I was focused on is the flip-down glasses shades.
I can't talk smack. If you can wear flip-down sunglasses, you can talk a little junk. Go ahead, Cindric. Just start firing it out there to Zane Smith.
Yeah, he has a he has a great personality. Funny guy. Had the chance to hang out with him in the off season a little bit, get to know him better, and a lot of fun to be around. But he also is another driver that we often do see at the front of these packs at Daytona, Talladega, and especially here at Atlanta. There he is, getting in game mode. But he's just in And it's not necessarily a skill you learn. I don't believe. You know, Alan asked him, like, how did you figure it out? I believe that the majority, 90% of the drivers that find success at places like Atlanta, Daytona, Talladega, it's a mentality. It's a personality trait that makes them good at wanting to be up front, making the moves, being the aggressive person, taking every run, and that style or that attitude or personality that really helps you sort of do those things. Because back, 20 years ago, it was always Kurt Busch, Jamie Murray, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Logano. You can name this long list, and they're all going to be in the picture when the cars cross the finish line. They might be first or sixth or fifth, but they'll be in that photo more times than not.
That's what Dale, I think, taught me when we worked together, is that you can't guarantee the finish because the last couple laps it can go right or wrong. But you look at the numbers, right? Austin Cindric was in the top 10 for 242 out of the 257 laps he ran at this race. Like, that's not just a good car or calling a good race. That is a driver who has said, I'm going to drive every lap like every position matters. I'm not going to concede. I'm not going to let anybody in. Every run I'm going to take. And you will end up on the wrecker or in the infield care center if you race that way. But I also think you can end up in victory lane. I think that risk, that intersection, runs at parallel at times that, hey, this may or may not work, but I have to try it. If I don't, I'm going to run average, mid-pack all day long and get caught up in somebody else's mess.
The other route I would go with this is having good teammates, and he has always had that around him, whether he learned from them or he utilizes them in the draft. With that, I deliver this stat. When he won at Talladega, that was the 12th, that marked the 12th consecutive season that Penske had won a race in the draft. That's just phenomenal consistency when you think about this style of racing. You talk about Austin Cindric and what Team Penske does, they're outstanding. Another driver, maybe a bit of a sleeper this weekend, someone who has won in the draft, Eric Jones in the 43, Danielle.
Yeah, Adam, absolutely. And it's been so impressive to watch Eric Jones for the last 7 weeks because in that span, he's gone from 30th to 18th in the points. How you doing it, Eric?
Well, fast cars helps a lot, and just, a lot of good racetracks. I feel like every year, once the summer kind of gets rolling, the tracks start to line up pretty well, and I like racing in the heat. And so, yeah, it's been working nice. Been a lot of fun just climbing through the points and having good days, and hope to keep it rolling and keep running up front and having shots to hopefully win soon.
You said that fast cars help. We've seen John Hunter, your teammate at Legacy, with fast cars as well. Is there something that Legacy Motor Club has hit on in the past 2 months? How do you explain this sudden surge that we're seeing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like what we did in the off season was going to help us a lot at some point this year, and it's finally just paying off. I think even earlier this year we had good cars at points, but it just didn't really work out in the races. So it's finally starting to just come together a little bit on the car side, on the crew side, and everything's really moving well right now. So just I hope it keeps going. I love running up front again. It's been a long couple of years, and so it's nice just to be in contention.
You've always been patient and trusted the process, and it's great to see you have success. How about in this in-season bracket challenge? 20th seed going up against Ross Chastain, who's a 13 seed. Do you like your chances here, buddy?
I feel good about it, yeah. I think, here everybody's kind of got a shot, right, which is nice week one. So, yeah, it'd be cool to just get through week one and still have a chance at it. I mean, it's going to break down quick, right, for who's going to be really running for it. And, yeah, it's fun. I know Ross pretty well, so just cool to go up against him. And yeah, I think at some points it'll pop into your head through the race. I'd be surprised if it doesn't, so it should be pretty fun.
We're going to see if you can beat the Watermelon Man tomorrow night, Eric. We wish you the best of luck.
All right, thanks.
Let's send it over to Mamba, who I believe is with a Cowboy.
No, I got the new sheriff in town, ladies and gentlemen. Driver the number 77, Carson Hocevar. Carson, we're talking about nicknames. I think the sheriff is pretty good, but you heard a different one on Reddit?
Oh, boy. I thought the instigator was kind of funny, but, yeah, I mean, everybody's trying to think of nicknames or whatever. I know Dale was mentioning it a few times, but, yeah, I think it's all funny. Last thing I'm going to do is give myself anything of a nickname. Anybody can call me whatever.
Listen, as long as you're getting that thing in victory, and it don't matter what they're calling you other than winner, right? So let's talk about this bracket. We got $1 million on the line. I know you already got your Dale truck, right? So you're not going to spend it on another truck, I don't think. Are you? What do you think about spending that money on?
I don't know. I mean, I'll probably, I have probably 100 fans or buddies and iRacing buddies that come here just because of how good a race it is. So I think we'll probably just go max out their credit card at Chili's if we do win, and
And then I'll probably have to pay back Jeff because I think I'll blow up that motor and knock the rear tires off the thing. And, it'll be a fun celebration for sure if we do win.
When you look at the how the schedule lays out going into the playoffs, we got here at Echo Park Speedway, got some road courses. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm excited for this one. We ran second. Our guys feel really good about this car or this track. Obviously running really good at February. Everybody just gets more excited when you run good and you get to come back. They get to work a little harder. They feel more confident in their decisions, being decisive. Everybody back at the Hendrick Engine Shop. These things go down the straightaway, so you need that here. So hopefully we just keep putting more speed in our race cars. It's kind of a hybrid 1.5 miles, and I feel like one of the best on restarts or performing in chaos, really. And, I feel like this race is literally just however many laps of 1.5 mile restarts just to the top in intensity. So when everybody else is kind of uncomfortable or whatever, I feel like that's where we rise and excel because we're already, it don't matter where we're at. That's our intensity everywhere. So you get to enjoy it.
Carson Hocevar with a big smile here. Dale, what do you think? The Sheriff? I think that's a good one for him.
Yeah, well, I think nicknames are kind of organic, right? Let the fans figure it out, and whatever seems to latch on or hook, you just kind of run with it. But
there's a few haulers around the garage that probably have nicknames for Carson. You know what I'm saying? He's been out of bounds a few times, but as he said, did finish second here earlier. Boy,
McDowell went out there, had a really interesting lap. Actually touched the wall coming off of Ford, coming to the green, was kind of loose and wiggling around throughout that lap. And right before that, we had Noah Gragson say, "Oh, it's easy flat.
He did.
This is simple." You know, and I think it usually is, right? Every time I've done a lap here by myself, it's simple, but you have the incredible heat that we have right now, humidity in the air, and obviously this racetrack is aging, it's changing, and I think this could catch some people out.
You think so?
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that Noah said, "Oh, this is going to be easy," because then I was like, of course, then he's going to go out. And
I know. I think Steve said it best. He's like, "Oh no, that gets me a little nervous, my man." Like, you don't want to jinx yourself in that sense, and I really think this is a track that just is continuing to lose grip at a really rapid rate, faster than any of us can sort of perceive, and therefore, with this heat and everything, we just have not experienced this before.
I want to read you, I saw a tweet from Denny Hamlin during that lightning delay. He said, "It's too dangerous out there. Call it." I mean, listen, you got to do what you got to do.
He would be right up front. I know some of the Toyotas. I was talking to James Small, who's Chase Briscoe's crew chief, and he was like, "Hey, before this even started," he said, "I just hope we rain this thing out. We'll be up front. I don't think we're going to qualify there." So they were all hoping, I think, especially in some of the Toyota camp, to have a rain out from this qualifying, but we're going to get going here again.
Yeah, I was thinking about you know, where you start here at Echo Park Speedway. Is it that big of a deal because it is that sort of drafting style? Is it just maybe for bragging rights to get?
I liked what Ross said. You got 400 miles, right?
Yeah.
And a drafting track, especially what we see on pit road and some of the strategies that happen there, where you don't take as much fuel, so you get that track position, get a lucky caution that times out perfectly, and now you have that track position, and it's incredibly hard to make your way through the pack. I think this race tomorrow night, though, will be different than what we've seen in the past. More aligned with what we saw in the fall last year, where it does spread out. A good handling car can make their way through the pack a little bit, make passes, as opposed to in the spring. When you're packed up 2x2x2, it's incredibly hard to get to the field. Austin Cindric told me earlier today, he said, "If we get to where handling matters, that's where I can really make some headway." And I think that's how a lot of these drivers look at it. If handling matters, they can make a difference.
And don't forget $1 million on the line, Marty. I know that drivers would do just about anything to get that money.
Who wouldn't do anything for $1 million? Let's chat with Brad Keselowski. And when you look at the final 9 races of the regular season, Brad, where would you rank Atlanta as a place where the 6 team can pull off a win?
You know, we had a lot of good runs here in 23, but 24 was not so kind to us. So optimistic, I would say, Marty. You know, the track has changed so much. You know, it's hard to believe this place was repaved 3 years ago, because you go look out at it and it is gray, and it looks like it's been here for 30 years. But so the track's changed a lot. It's lost a lot of grip. Really hot race, so you're going to have to handle, and we'll see if we brought enough to do that.
Brad will roll off and qualify here in just a moment. 38 car on the track right now, Adam.
Indeed he is. What do you see in the 6 and Brad Keselowski, Dale?
I'm glad Brad brought that up. This track will age quickly. We do see it, you know, the different shade of asphalt as it starts to lighten up and bleach out. It is losing grip annually. Every time they come back here, there is a bit of a change in how their cars are going to feel. And we're going to sort of see a transition away from the pack drafting, full throttle racing that we've known here for 7 years to, you know, cars having to lift out of the gas, 2 teams having to really build in that comfort and balance the drivers are looking for. They're going to be continuing to add more comfort, more balance as we keep coming back to this racetrack. We'll learn tomorrow, I think, where we are. How far has this track transitioned in just the last 12 or 6 months since we've been here?
Yeah, the crew chiefs I talked to feel like they have a lot of grip to add to the cars. So the real question is, can you get it in the race, or do you go, oops, that was our bad, we'll be better next week when we come back, or next year when we come back. You can only make so many adjustments during the race.
Sun going down, drivers finding speed. Zane Smith goes to 2nd. First driver out after the delay, 5 thousandths behind Cole Custer, who's P1. Austin Dillon goes out, jumps up to 3rd. On board now, Tyler Reddick. Superman machine for 23.11. His teammates right now 6th and 7th on the board.
See if crew chief Billy Scott's got this thing dialed in. He's got the skeleton gloves. We have a charity initiative for the Dale Jr. Foundation this weekend. You'll see a lot of drivers wearing those gloves, and we'll be auctioning those off on the Dale Jr. Foundation website to be able to raise money for the Nationwide Children's Hospital.
It's a great cause. I know it's a lot of work from you and all you guys and women at the staff over there at the foundation.
With all the races this weekend, there'll be 70 different sets for auction.
Wow.
The driver will sign them, you will sign them, and we'll put them on the board and raise some money for a good cause.
Maybe we should give them like wear a set during the broadcast up here. You know, like
He had them on last week.
That's what I was saying.
Cheap.
I was thinking about. I still have those. They're just regular old mechanic wear gloves. I was thinking about signing them and putting them in there.
Oh, you got 71 cents. You got to throw them things on there.
I'll do it.
All right, there you have it. Look at that. Breaking news, Adam.
There you go. Well, you are really just pushing it out there. You know what I mean? Dictating tempo and everything.
Oh, yeah, man. Yep.
Reddick goes 7th, and here's the 7 car of Justin Haley. 1 career win came in the draft. Summertime at Daytona a number of years ago.
Yeah, speaking of lightning, had a little bit of delay there, and they had the pit call right? I mean, they racing the same rules.
Page 1.
Page 1. So I think what the 7's going to do right here is he was probably going to come down pit road and practice his pit road entry. We heard Marty talk about it, some other guys talk about it. Under green, different pit road rules because it's so long. You run 1 speed around the apron, another speed on pit road. Under yellow, it's all just 1 big long pit road. There's a little instructions from pit road to the driver of the 7.
3rd car on track from Trackhouse is Ross Chastain. His teammates right now 13th and 14th. Got 4 entries this weekend with Connor Zilic running the 87. Chastain a couple of tenths behind on the tracker.
He's moving the wheel around a lot too. I don't know what's going on there, but that car is very, very rough bouncing around this racetrack. But in turn 3, it looked like he had a little bit of a delay turning down into the corner, and then coming off of 4, a lot of movement in the steering wheel. Danielle?
All right, guys, here with Alex Bowman, driver of the 48, about to drive around the ATL here for a fast lap. Alex, what's the key here?
Hold it wide open and hope it sticks and the race car does its job. So, yeah, I mean, qualifying here is pretty simple. Hit your shift points, try to make sure you kind of do all the right things. But all the guys back at the shop worked really hard on this Ally 48, and hopefully it shows up here today.
In Atlanta last fall, Adam, Alex Bowman finished 5th.
Interesting opening round matchup when you look at Bowman and Joey Logano going at it in round 1 of the in-season challenge. The matchup for A.J. Allmendinger, Michael McDowell. McDowell outside the top 10 with his qualifying run. Allmendinger goes to 7th.
You know, it's a great way to look at some of these matchups, and we looked at kind of their head-to-head starts in the next gen at certain tracks, all these things, and it's shocking to me how close some of these are. Like Bowman and Logano is 53-64 in their entire career together in the next-gen car, right? Logano, a 3-time champ. You would think things would be shifted more than it really is, and I think that's what makes this bracket so hard to predict.
I know that Kyle Busch has had a tough year, and right now I don't think he sits in a position to point his way in, so it's a must-win situation, and I think this is a racetrack where they're dangerous. RCR is known for their speed at the Daytonas, the Talladegas, and the Atlantas, especially in the Xfinity Series, but I think they still have some of the advantage that they enjoy at these tracks as well. And then in the Cup level, at the Cup level, we'll see that 8 car, I think, racing toward the front. Mamba.
I'm here with our 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Ryan Blaney. Ryan, you always seem to find your way to the front of this place. What is it about this new configuration that you like so much?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think we've always brought really fast cars. Team Penske does a good job of giving us some really good Ford Mustangs, you know, that have the speed to qualify towards the front and handle good enough to try to keep it. And even if we get mired back in traffic, I feel like I've always been able to kind of make my way up through there. So different style of speedway racing than Daytona, Talladega. You know, a lot more handling comes into play here, a lot more lifting. To where I think it's easier to kind of make your way through if your car's handling good enough. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what we got. Hopefully we can have pull speed set on the pole here in the spring. Appreciate Advanced Auto Parts being on this week. It's cool to have them back. But yeah, just a big team effort, and fast cars definitely makes it way easier.
I just saw you looking at telemetry with your team. How much can you really learn on a qualifying effort like this?
Yeah, I was messing with Marcus. I was like, what are you seeing, man? He was like, well, other than wide open, not a whole lot. So. Yeah, I mean, honestly, not a lot here. Like a lot of your launch, like trying to launch good is kind of the biggest thing that I can do. Get through your gears right, trying to hook up in first to second gear good on the racetrack, because you don't have a ton of time to kind of build your speed up. Like I don't think you're at terminal velocity at the line, so it's important to try to get a good jump. Unlike Talladega, you're kind of at speed at the line and you got what you got. So that's a little bit that I can do, and then it's just kind of having steady hands. So hopefully I can have that and see where it puts us.
A lot of breakdown from our champ, Ryan Blaney.
No question, a lot of good knowledge there. Daniel Suarez was on track when they were talking. Had a 1-2 finish here last spring. Suarez got the win by 3/1,000ths of a second. 99 is 15.
Yeah, there's not a lot of dominoes that I think are going to be falling for silly season going into next year, but Daniel might be one of those dominoes. He could stay with Trackhouse, but there seems to be, some conversation around how that might happen. He's made some public comments this week about the, wanting to get something done as we're watching Hocevar on the racetrack right now.
He's 15th. That's second quickest to the guys from Spire. Joe Gibbs Racing and Ty Gibbs in the 54. The team has enjoyed some speed lately.
Yeah, I think this is no longer a question of if, it's a question of when, and I'm referring to Ty Gibbs going to victory lane. I think that he's fast enough. Some maturing has to happen. He's got over 100 starts. I really look at here, he could definitely win here, but then we have the street course and Sonoma. He's such a fast road course racer.
Watkins Glen on the board still, right?
I think there has been a little bit of speed. I guess at Mexico there was some speed there, but I'm not as convinced as you. Look, I want to see the kid get to victory lane, and I'm a little perplexed as to why they've struggled this year. Each year you expected the 54 to kind of continue a trend of getting better, him getting more accustomed to the Cup Series. For whatever reason, this year has been very tough. And I just haven't really seen anything that's turning it around.
Listen, I can't wait because Gibbs is a major deviation in our brackets.
Yeah.
That's when it's going to really, like right here, we're week 1. Everybody's all happy about their bracket. We're going to see who's bragging about their bracket week 2 after all these matchups.
Hey, Gibbs is 5th in qualifying. Look at this lap. In the green, Brad Keselowski. And the announcer jinx sets in just as I celebrate the green. He goes to red. Boy, he's right on top of it coming back to the line.
I think, we were talking about Cindric and how he leads laps and takes every run, and you gave a list of drivers.
All right, third gear, I'll
Brad, to
count
me,
down to the line.
is maybe not the original, but he was the last generation of that style. Like Brad, it was aggressive from the first time he went to victory lane that day at Talladega. And I think that showed him success, and he stuck with that kind of mantra at all of these drafting tracks.
Brad P1 by 2/1000ths of a second, Danielle.
Hey, AA. I filled out my bracket 2 days ago, and the guy I'm standing next to, just so you know I'm not lying, here's my bracket. Can we zoom in here? I got Larson Denny in the final, and I got Larson taking the whole thing for $1 million.
Who do you have in there?
I have you.
Against Busher?
You against Denny in the finals.
Okay.
You got Reddick in the first round, though. How are you feeling about this bracket challenge?
How do I feel about it? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. I think it's cool. I mean, it's a nice little storyline, I think, to have at this point of the season. So, yeah, hopefully we can just beat whoever we got to beat and keep advancing. But there could be a lot of upsets here in Atlanta. I think that's what the style of race that it brings. So we'll see, but we'll try hard.
Kyle Larson finished top 5 in 3 out of the last 4 drafting tracks. We'll see what he can do tomorrow night, Adam.
Larson versus Hamlin at Indianapolis in the Brickyard 400 for $1 million. I'd sign up for that.
Larson is a series owner. He knows how this stuff can kind of spice up the middle of the season, right? He might be paying attention to this more than he wants to let on.
Spice it up.
Wow, what a lap. We're going to get down into the 30s. We said 30-90 was what the poll
right here, that's P1 at the moment, isn't it?
That is like 0.2 of a second. Not a small step right there. That is gigantic.
And no surprise, another Ford. This driver right here, Josh Berry, in similar equipment with the support from Penske to the Wood Brothers, won a stage earlier this year in Atlanta.
And you heard Blaney said he was on the pole in the spring, another Penske Ford, right? So we're starting to see a trend.
Yeah, the Fords have won the pole every time we've had qualifying on the new configuration of this racetrack, and they won far more stages than any other make. They haven't won the races, though. They only have 2 wins of the 7 races here, and that was Joe Logano twice. So trying to put it all together, either, we talked about this earlier, Steve, today. You got Berry just missing, well, actually tied Joe Logano. We talked about this earlier. I was trying to have a conversation with you about why do you think the Fords do so well in qualifying and in the race, but they can't get the wins? And I think we both kind of agree that when the money's on the line, when the trophy's on the line, the risk that the Chevys and the Toyotas are willing to take to try to win that race goes way up. And the Fords are more comfortable faster, drive better. We heard Blaney talk about how his car's comfortable. He can drive through the field when he loses track position. But when it's all on the line at the end of the race, they're all willing to risk it all, and be very uncomfortable.
It was this Toyota driver that risked it at the highest level. Final lap in the springtime. Christopher Bell got the win, leading 1 lap after qualifying 32nd. And his qualifying lap here puts him 19th. Here's Marty.
Adam, if you're looking for Denny Hamlin this weekend, look for the very orange Kings Hawaiian Toyota. Shannon mentioned your tweet. I'm sure that you were genuinely just concerned for everybody's safety on pit road. And it had nothing to do with where you might qualify today, right?
There's still hope. I'm not in this car yet. But, yeah, I think one scenario we'd be on the pole, and the other scenario will be 24th.
24th is where you're setting the number.
I think that's fair, and that's probably very generous.
All right, in all sincerity, as the guy who this bracket challenge was your idea on your podcast a couple of years ago, are you at least proud it's come to fruition?
Yeah, certainly I think it's something that's, should really latch the casual fan who's a sports fan into, the matchups of it. You're essentially watching one driver versus another. I certainly think can be some interesting 19th place battles that otherwise wouldn't matter that TV will be tuning into, and people with probably some money on the line will really care about. So.
All right, there you go, Adam. All right, remember he set the number at 24.
That's right.
Where-ish, he's saying
Over
24.
Is this like bracket racing? Like if he beats it by 1, does he get to move up and automatically?
I don't know, but that's what he said. So I'm going with 24, Steve.
on that.
He brought up a point because we keep talking about this bracket because it is going to be fascinating. And here, it's a little bit of controlled chaos all day, so I don't think it's as easy to pick up battle up. But he's absolutely right. There's going to be somebody running for 19th or 17th next week in Chicago with 3 laps to go. And I guarantee both drivers will know what's on the line, right? They're going to get to a point where like, oh, you mean that's the guy? That's the person I had, and it's going to be so much fun to watch that battle.
This car right here is pretty interesting to watch. The 2 was slower to the middle of turn 1 and 2, but gained a little bit of that time back down the back straightaway. See how he comes off turn 4. Another Ford going to be able to take the Fords into the top 6 positions so far in qualifying.
Remember your page below the white and yellow line off at 2.
We don't have a lot of wind here. That's what I was like.
Yeah.
Wind picking up. Why was that car slower into turn 1 but faster down the back? But we'll see how Ryan Preece here in the number 60 fares in qualifying.
He's done an outstanding job recently. Been good in qualifying, front row in Mexico City. I was surprised to hear, they are encouraged and excited about going to Chicago on a street course in Sonoma because they really like where they are with their road course program. Pretty good at this style of racing in the draft, and lap looking pretty decent right now coming off of turn 4.
That car, too, slower to the middle of turn 1 and 2, then it sort of held serve down the back straightaway. Maybe to what Brian Blaney was speaking about, the launch off pit road, the driver really can influence how much speed the car can build as it comes to the green flag. And Brian Blaney said, look, we're not even at terminal velocity when we get to the green flag. There's still more speed for that car to continue to gain. And so who is getting that launch? And that is going to really determine which Ford gets the pole.
And Doug Yates is smiling somewhere, currently 1st through 7th. You mentioned which Ford's going to get the pole. So I was kind of looking down at pit road, I won't lie. I'm like, all right, we have Buescher, we have Blaney left, so we better start explaining the tie in lap time goes to whoever's higher in points, which is how Lagana's going to end up if this holds up.
Josh Berry's going to wonder, is there not another number behind that 9?
That's right.
Just a little more of a squeeze. I need more.
A little more finite tuning on the clock here.
Dale wants new lightning detectors, and Josh Berry wants a 4th digit after the call, or after the decimal.
Buescher is 10th. Here's Larson. Won a stage here. Won a stage here in February, but if you look at his drafting numbers, even though recently, as the graphic says, he's been good 0 for 50 in his career. He's been great everywhere else, but not at this style. Just hadn't worked out for him.
And until recent races, it was 0 for finishing. Forget 0 for 50. Like, my man didn't know that they threw the checkered flag at the super speedways. He just thought you just, nope, your day's just over, right? Recently, though, they have found a way to get to the finishes.
Drafting equaled did not finish for
Yeah,
the five.
exactly.
But they've been so much better lately. And qualifying here puts him 9th. Marty?
And quick question for you, actually, Stevie. So if you'll notice, the front stretch is all in clouds. I believe most of the back stretch is all in clouds as Chase Elliott comes to take the green. And the track temperature, Steve, started at 125 at the beginning of this qualifying session. It's now 101. Will that help these later cars?
So I do think at most tracks, track temperature leads the way in qualifying because you're looking for grip. I think here it's a very small advantage, might have the car drive a little bit better. I would think here it's actually the ambient. As the air cools, the engine makes more horsepower, and I think you could go faster.
Whoa.
Chase might have wanted 2 hands on the wheel right there through the middle of 3 and 4.
So that car started bottoming out or sitting on the limiter, the shock limiter, and that's the way he started to feel. He started to dance around. He had to lift out of the gas.
Okay, there. That was a good one, so we got loose. Good job.
There you go.
So he has his hand up there trying to really just steer the air a little bit, not in the car. But so check this out, though. Man, that's a big moment with 2 hands on the wheel.
Yeah.
Forget 1 hand.
Might have been top 10. Ends up 13th, Chase Elliott. 3 to go in qualifying. And if you're just with us on this Friday evening, only doing 1 round here because of some of the delays we've experienced. The first of those 3 to go, Ryan Blaney. Very, very good in the draft. Incredible record here at Echo Park Speedway.
Oh, it's going to be really close.
Not quite enough. Puts him 3rd by 4 thousandths of a second behind Barry and Logano, who are tied at the top. Chase Briscoe 4 poles this year, including the season opener in the Daytona 500. Got that win last week at Pocono.
And, you know, when we talk about starting position, the one thing I will just bring up, surprisingly, at a 1.5-mile track, these pit boxes are the 2nd shortest we see all year long, only 2nd to Mexico City. So that tie between Logano and Barry, I'm assuming the 22 will take pit stall 1 clean out all day long. We have no idea, you know, what kind of advantage that may or may not be. There are a few openings, so anywhere in the top 6 or 7, you should have a decent pit box. But it does matter. I mean, it does matter where you start. The guys that don't have track position will say you have 400 miles. The guys that do have track position will tell you how valuable it is.
Last 2 qualifiers from the Toyota camp. Briscoe goes 10th. Last guy out, Denny Hamlin.
All right, Mr. 24th. Let's see how good of a bracket racer you are.
Based on what Briscoe did, I'm going to bet that he's inside the top 20 here, Hamlin.
Yeah, I mean, Briscoe's 10th.
Yeah.
I talked to James Small, and he had no belief that they were going to be inside the top 20.
He's got his hand out the window. That's probably the difference between 24th and 26th.
Well, I mean, they're tied at the top, so every little bit matters, right?
Man, his prediction's pretty close.
No, I think he's going to nail it.
It's really close.
There's never been this much 33rd.
No, he gave up a whole bunch.
So much for my top 20.
I mean, he lifted just to prove to be right.
Yeah, major disappointment for the #1 seed in the bracket challenge. And that means your pole sitter for tomorrow night, Joey Logano.
Yeah, the Penske connection. You know, we know the Wood brothers in the 21, but they have that affiliation with the Penske. So I'd say the Penske cars swept the top 4. No real surprise. They've led more laps than anybody else in the next gen with drafting tracks. And in 2024, they ran 100. They ran 239 laps, running 1st and 2nd at the drafting tracks. I mean, they get up front. What happens is they get up front and they get a plan. They work together. They control the race. And that's going to be hard for the rest of this series because they're going to start at the front. So they're going to have control of the race from the green flag. Who can break that up? Who can get up in there and separate the Penske cars and try to take over this race? Marty.
Boydell, Atlanta continues to be kind to Joey Logano. Won here last fall to advance in the playoffs, winning the pole today. But I got to tell everyone at home, you were a little nervous. Like your teammates were running. You came over to my monitor to go, oh no, how close were they going to be?
Well, you know, we all have the same things, and obviously Team Penske does a great job at building the same cars. It seems like all of us, you know, the top 4 there. So proud of everyone at the shop, proud of Roush's engines. You know, this is always a test of, you know, like you said, how close you can build all the cars, but how much speed you can put in them. So, yeah, they're fast for qualifying. We'll see what we got in the race, but neat to have Auto Trader up front again.
Junior just made a great point about how top 4 Team Penske cars, in essence, with the 21 coming out of your shop. What advantage does that give Team Penske tomorrow night?
Well, obviously, a good pit stalls. That's going to be great. This is a really tight pit road that we're standing on right now. The stalls are super small. So that should help with that, obviously, with track position. And then keeping numbers together and help control the race is a huge deal. So we're all there to start. A million things can happen throughout the race, but we can control what we can control today. And tomorrow we'll try to work our strategy best we can.
They did it right on Friday. Joey Logano on the pole. We'll see if they can do it right on Saturday night, Alan.
Yeah, the good news for Josh Berry, he's got a fast car. The bad news, you lost on a tiebreaker, man. You can still smile. Did you get everything out of it, every thousandth of a second?
I don't know, 1,000 is not very much, so I'm sure you could have squeezed a touch out of it, but just a great job by this 21 team. Obviously, everybody at Wood Brothers Racing, Team Penske, to take the top 4 like that, have all the cars that close, just shows a lot about the job they're doing. So just hats off to everybody here at the track and everybody back home in North Carolina. And like I said, it's obviously a great starting spot for us, and we'll go racing tomorrow.
Another time when the Penske Wood Brother cars are great in qualifying. We'll see what they have in the race tomorrow night, guys.
Thank you, Alan. And now we look at the starting grid. 400 miles tomorrow night at Echo Park Speedway.
Going to be a ton of Fords on this first page as they have dominated qualifying at Atlanta since the reconfiguration. But we got a couple Toyotas and a Toyota Chevrolet row 5 there. Going to be trying to battle up into the Fords. Kyle Larson with a great qualifying effort. Ty Dillon, Christopher Bell back there in row 14 has work to do.
You see Kyle Busch back there in row 15. Suarez, Hamlin, he guessed 24th, a little bit further back than that. Ricky Stenhouse all the way back in row 19. It's going to be a lot of traffic early.
Stenhouse coming from row 19. That sounds kind of exciting to me in this configuration tomorrow night. NASCAR. Sounds kind of exciting to me in this team. That sounds is back. We'll see on a Saturday night from Echo Park Speedway. It's going to be fun. NASCAR Nation hits the air